because I've been busy doing videos really. Um, but yeah, I'm meaning to do an art stream for the last week, over a week. Tuesday, Friday came, and I was. It's always a case if I actually get to about this sort of time and I'm not ready, and then I go, oh well, I'll do it tomorrow, and then I don't do it Saturday. I have to do it on Wednesday. So I promised myself I would do the stream that I've been planning for the past week or so tonight. And I hope you're all well. I'll just see if I can get myself actually see my stream. And yeah, oh, I have to mute myself, otherwise we're going to get a feedback loop, which is not good. I've done that with streams before now, kind of feedback loop, and so I'll go, yeah, we get into that sort of 1960s echo chamber, sort of like Doctor Who effect, where everything goes round and round and round and round and round until it starts to distort, and then it feeds back, and then everyone's ears explode. It's not good. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about one of the sketchbooks, a short one this time. It's a good one though. It's lots of watercolor work, landscape watercolor work, and sort of ink work, and then do some abstract ink painting. I have some brushes which I found. I wasn't sure if I could find these. Oops, in knocking over the new ink. I found. Hello, Sparker. I found this, which is the sash brushes I used to use. These are supposed to be for painting sashes, windows, and they're very good. And the it's going to fall over, isn't it? Hake brushes. Yeah, they're good for your beard. Yes. Yeah, these are a Japanese brush, a Japanese ink brush, and I'm going to probably work an A3 with these. And or is A2? Is it A2 or A3? I'm not sure. I think it's A3. A3. I suddenly forgot what the sizes of things were. Yeah. Yeah, and it's lovely actually. It's very soft. I don't know what it's made, what hair it's made from, whether it's synthetic or not. But yeah, these are Japanese brushes. I think you say Hake. It looks like Hake, but I think from what I know, Japanese it's Hake. And I used to do a lot of abstract, sort of abstract ink pieces. I'm going to try a few of those, and I've got some new ink. Yeah, hey, I use the Dr. PH ink one of the last times, and so I got a brown because I ran out of brown, and I've got a golden yellow because I was running out of yellow as well, and I always found the lemon yellow was a bit too green for yellow, so we'll see. Hopefully this is not too. It was a bit. I had to do a lot of shaking for this because it was all separated, and I was like, I hope it's not too thick, because I had the terracotta Dr. PH Martin's Bombay ink, and that's probably reversed. Yeah, it's reversed, isn't it? Yeah, that makes no sense to you. Read that backwards. um, but yeah, this is the Van Dyke Brown, and I had the terracotta, and it was like treacle. So we'll see what that's like. But yeah, let's get on, and yeah, let's get on, and let's talk about one of my sketchbooks. Hello, Daft Hat. Hello. I hope you can hear me. This is using the posh microphone, Mic 3. Yeah, but to me the colours mean nothing to me because I'm colourblind. Yes, I know you're colourblind, so but I'm sure you can sort of see. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can't see brown. I don't know. Depends what kind of colourblindness you are. Everything might be brown, or everything might not be brown. Oh, hello, Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're just talking about being colourblind and how you might see everything in brown. You might see everything not in brown. I don't know, in greys possibly. I don't know. Green, blue, and red, brown. Well, this is a red brown. It's a Van Dyke brown. So it actually is red brown. Whether you see it as red brown isn't the question. It's actually red brown. So that's a reddish brownish colour. It's sort of like a chocolate colour. Obviously, chocolate means nothing to you because if you've always been colourblind, you'd be like, well, that's that colour. That means nothing. I'm trying to tell people, tell people, colourblind people what colours are, and it's not going to work, is it? Looks green to me. Yeah, it's not. It's more reddish, but yeah. I can't hear too well. I've got a heavy cold and everything. Sounds like it's underwater. Hopefully, that's not nothing to do with the microphone. We don't need like shouting at a deaf person. Yeah. Hopefully, this is working all right, sound wise. It seemed to be. I can have a quick listen, but it might feed back. Yeah, seems to. I can always turn it up. Yes, yes. So let's do a. Although in typical fashion, I haven't actually lined everything up that well. So you don't need that at the moment. Need that in a minute. Will I dox myself? No, I won't because yeah. This one doesn't have my address. It has address on the outside, which is good. Yeah, every time I show you a sketchbook, I have to be careful about doxing myself because I put my name and address on them on every single sketchbook because I'm paranoid about losing them. And then I show it on stream and go, oops, I maybe don't show people your address. I don't get that joke. Deaf to how can you tell if someone is deaf the size? The size I don't get it. You have to trip them up in the woods, Nick. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm getting any of this. This is I can't remember the name of this company. The company makes these sketchbooks. I think they make something called the Perfect Sketchbook. This isn't the Perfect Sketchbook. This is a cheaper version of them, but it's cotton. It's mostly cotton, but they're quite good. They're very expensive, and you have to buy like 10 of them or something, or 5 of them at once. Or a set of them. It's annoying. Um, but yeah, this is over the river. That's ink and watercolor. It is nice paper though. Not that the paper makes the work any good, but you know, same thing as witch hunting. I'm really not getting this conversation in the chat, but anyway, I'm just going to talk about art really. So yes, that's. I've not seen that one. Ihadori. Yeah, I've not seen that barge for a long time. This is also in summer. That's near the Ginger Bees Cafe, I think. Queen's Promenade. That is the modern building. I've painted and drawn this building for a long time. This is the very sort of modern building that's along the river. It's sort of Kingston, Surbiton area. This is a good one. That's ink. That might be a night or certainly a dusk sunset painting. That's ink with watercolor. I don't know what ultramarine I was using. I'm not happy with this ultramarine. Oh, that was not. Oh yes, I remember this one. That's a good one. Unfortunately, the shadow of this is falling over that. Sparker says, sorry, Tim, love Daft Tat's humour out there. I'm just not getting it at the moment, so that's all right. I'm just here streaming. So yeah, that's again along the river. Oh, I know where that is. You remember if I camped in the field with horses? This is that field. I did a Chessington wild camp. I think it was just before John died, actually. And it was testing the nature hike tent, and I woke up and there was horses running around because I forgot the field had horses. I should have remembered that because on that very hill, I can't remember. I don't know if it's Telegraph Hill. It might be Telegraph Hill. It's near Chessington Walls Adventures. I had actually drawn this. So this is fountain pen and watercolor. But yeah, that's that very field. So I should have remembered there was horses in the field. I should have remembered that, but I didn't. Duh. But yeah, no, I'd forgotten there was horses because there wasn't any horses in the field when I started to wild camp in the night. Then I woke up and there were these horses running around, and then they freaked out when I appeared out of nowhere because they're like Sparker, they're colorblind. Maybe not colorblind in the same way, but they're not, their color vision isn't very good. So of course, a green tent on a green field, I basically appeared as if like I was a magician, like pop and no for them. And so hence they ran around the field for hours freaking out. I was like, oops. I thought the owner would run around and come along in a minute and scream at me. That's Coventry. Um, that actually could be, this could be during lockdown. I'm not sure because I went up to Coventry and did loads of paintings in August 2020, so it could be from that time. It might be another visit though. But yeah, I remember that's a place in Coventry. And this is that Kingston Bridge or is that Richmond Bridge? I think that's Kingston Bridge, but it could be Richmond Bridge. It's one of the two. Again, with ink and watercolour. That one works quite well. Somebody wanted to buy this. I remember someone wanted to buy this, and I was like, I can't because it's in a sketchbook. I'm not going to tear it out. Oh, another night painting. The cathedral. I have actually, yeah, I do actually have paintings of the cathedral, but then they are separate pieces. That is, that's a really random place in Coventry. It's what used to be an old workhouse, and it's now kind of some kind of social centre thing, but it was closed. Been closed for some reason. You could actually go inside it, but this is actually a remnant of the not. Um, the cathedral was part of a massive abbey, and you should be able to see me. Can you see me? Hello. The cathedral was part of a massive abbey, and if you imagine a massive complex, like a medieval complex, it was like abbey, or it was like it spread for ages. A couple of monasteries, that kind of stuff, and I think either the monastery or this is a remnant of the monastery, or one of the bits of that sort of extended stuff. The cathedral is kind of one of the bits that survived, but there was lots more spreading out, and this was then turned into a poorhouse, a workhouse, and so it survived. Someone used it as a storage barn and storage area, and then there was a workhouse in the Victorian times, and now it's a museum. But weirdly, it was closed, and it had all this sort of. I was fascinated with the fact you had this sort of old sort of remains of this old architecture from sort of medieval times, but then you had this sort of modern fencing. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed because I went out there and it was closed. Sparker says, sorry, got visitors, got to go. Nice to see everyone. Well, thanks for coming, Sparker. That's another night painting. I like these ones. They work well on cotton, actually. Yeah, and I like the shadow. You can see the shadow there. This is two trees near me. You know, we've got two poplar trees which are along the river. And this is going to be harder to see, but it might be better because it's in portrait. I'm not sure where that is. I think that's part of Richmond. I think that might be the plantation. I can't remember the name of the plantation. Is it Elizabeth? Elizabeth plantation. There's like a big sort of area that's fenced off away from deer. and not the cathedral, but I love this one, and also it has a ghost in it. This is, where is it? There's a castle south of Coventry, and I can't remember the name at the moment. It is Elizabethan, and it's where I did the. If you've watched any of the streams, I did the Atlas figure. That's in that garden, and so I did a watercolor, and then weirdly, I sort of saw a figure here and painted it. Well, this figure seemed to have appeared there. The place was haunted. I found out that actually in that tower there was a ghost, and that freaked me out because when I went to scan it, I saw this figure, dark figure that I'd put in, and I was like, I don't remember there being a figure there. And you can't actually get to that window, so it's like I painted in a figure that wasn't there. It's like, ooh, spooky. I think that might be part of the library, the museum. Yeah, it was. It apparently it was an ex-workhouse and a barn. It's by, it says it's St John's Roundabout or something. It's right on the edge of the town. And this is again from Telegraph Hill. This is exactly where I camped in that video where I camped in Chessington. It's on my channel. Yep, that is drawn from pretty much where I eventually camped years later. About 2 years, 3 years later, I camped, but that's about 2020 or 2021. So I camped there. So and there's like a microwave tower in the distance. That's what that is, and it has a red light on it, which I remember seeing when I camped there. And that's sunset. And there's also a white tower in the distance, which is what are they called? Telegraph Tower. So it's Telegraph Hill. There's another one which is Telegraph. Oh, where's this? Oh, I know where this is. This is Hambledon. It's one of the first National Trust places. I mentioned it in the Hinded video. This is Hambledon Hill, and it was given by Octavia Hill in 1915. That's where that bench is. That's what drawing is, benches. Given to the National Trust in 1915 by Octavia Hill. Now, Octavia Hill was Rowland Hill's sister, as in the inventor of the postage stamp. You see, I'm full of facts. I'm full of facts, I am. Full of facts, sisters. Don't I say I'm not educational. That is Box Hill. It's kind of odd. I wonder what I was doing there. I think I have a feeling. I mean, that looks like dip pen. The bits of this look like I was using the end of the dip pen, and this looks like I was using the end of a paintbrush, which is something I used to do quite often. Was just use the end of a paintbrush and dip, and I don't think that's quill. It looks too scratchy. But yeah, there's an olive tree and on Barry's Bank in Box Hill. I've talked about Barry's Bank quite a lot in my videos. I've done wild camps at Box Hill. There is actually an olive tree, a twisty olive tree, which is growing on the side. This is near me. This is St Andrew's Church. It's listed. Yeah, it's part of the listing of the whole area. 582 properties in the area are listed, including the house I live in, and it's all kind of listed as one big estate. It was built all about the same time, and then about 10 years after they built the square and our houses, they built this church. And it's quite a famous architect, Victorian architect, and I can't remember his name at the moment, built St Andrews, all in red brick, but it's an amazing edifice. And then, you know, in 1985, about the time John moved in, I think, or 85, 86, it got listed en masse. Might be 87, but yeah, late 80s it got listed en masse because of the danger of the whole area was being modified and turned into flats and things, and they're worried about the whole thing. They're worried about the whole thing sort of being ruined. So yeah. Ah, cranes. More cranes. You'll see lots of cranes. This is Bushy Park. And that is a church in Chessington. You wouldn't think Chessington had sort of pilgrim churches, but this is actually a pilgrim church. People used to go on pilgrimages, and one of the pilgrim routes went through Chessington. And so it's kind of like a site of an early Knights Templar thing, I think. That's St Mary's Church, Long Ditton. Yeah, that kind of spooked me out. I usually don't mind working in cemeteries, but there was something about that cemetery which, felt like I was being watched. And this is Hampton Court. And so we can do representational. And this paper is quite smooth. So it's quite good for this kind of representational stuff. Yeah. You used to be able to get into their chip quite cheaply locally because they used to have like a reduced hour for people who were locals. You could get in cheaply into the gardens, or even Hampton Court originally was the first kind of hour or the last hour of the day or something like that. But they got rid of that now, so you have to pay for everything. And again, this is, and there's the White Tower I was talking about. It's now a private property. It's past Claygate. I've been there, and there's the microwave tower. This is right by Chestnut Oliver Ventures, and they have like a field for their cars. It's like a spillover field for the cars. So you've got all these sort of discarded those little dividers, but they weren't using it, so I painted it. That's a Diana fountain. Not the Diana as in Princess Diana. It's as in Diana. It predates her by many hundreds of years. That was moved. I can't remember what it was originally. It was moved from another property to Bushy Park, and it's now in the centre of this massive lake, and you can't get to the centre of it. But I sort of spent the time painting it. And this is something that appears a lot in my work. This is the lodge near Hampton. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who did it. Garrick's Villa, Richard Garrick, actor, Victorian actor, or was it pre-Victorian? It's pre-Victorian. It's to Shakespeare. There's actually a bust of Shakespeare inside, and sometimes you can get in there, and there are meetings inside of friends and stuff that meet there, but it's not. You can't just go in there. But it's Garrick's. The actual land around it is public, so you can actually go and go and have a look in Hampton. And it's opposite Garrick's Villa, but this is his temple to Shakespeare. Because being an actor, he has to have a temple to Shakespeare. But yeah, he's sort of not Victorian. It's pre all that, I think. Richard Garrick, wasn't he famous for his Jekyll and Hyde? Yes, he was. He was very famous for his Jekyll and Hyde and transformation, going from one character to another. And yeah, that Richard Garrick. Yeah, and he had a villa in Hampton, which is still there. It's a museum, and the land across it on the river is public, so you can just go and see it. And yeah, you can go and see this and sit by it. And so it's a really beautiful sort of secret part of the river. It's a wonderful place. And I'd love to get inside there. Occasionally, you can get viewings to go inside, But what is inside is some paintings inside and a large bust. You can see through the windows. You can see this large bust of Shakespeare, and he was part of that whole sort of, you know, Alexander Pope and people like that. That sort of, so it's kind of pre-Victorian or sort of early Victorian, sort of 1800s, early 1800s to mid, I think. So it's partly Victorian, I think. But yeah, there was a whole group of, you know, people. Is it David Garrick? It might be David Garrick then. I thought it was Richard, but it could be David Garrick. Somebody Garrick. Spelled G-A-R-I-C-K. But it could be David. I thought it was Richard. Hey, Garrick. And that is the filter beds near me. I was going through a purple phase. That is that's Richmond. Pretty sure it's Richmond. Richmond Bridge. Yeah. That's the St Raphael's. It's appeared previously in my work here. Yeah, this one didn't work so well. I love the drawing, but then the actual watercolor, I just had trouble with getting the colours right for that, so I just left it quite light. I was worried because quite often if you overwork things, it ends up like this, and it's a bit too dark and a bit too muddy. So I think I was going for the opposite there. Goose, that's Ravens 8, which is an island along the river. It's an eot. What's called an eot? Or an 8. Either called eots or 8s, little islands along the River Thames. There's, wherever you go in the river, there are different kind of names for it. Eot or 8, spelled E-I-T. Yeah, they all have different names, but they are the same thing, which is all islands in the river. And you can go and visit that. It's a sort of a venue for weddings, but also it's got a bar, and you can go there. Hi Sid, how are things? And hey, I love the art, says Pixel Purple. Well, thank you. But yeah, I think it's David Garrick. And yeah, hi everyone. But yeah, I do like drawing geese. Big fan of drawing geese. Geese are, I do like Canada geese. Everyone gets annoyed about geese. The white geese tend to be assholes. But I find Canada geese, I just draw and they just come and sort of feed next to me and don't hassle me. I don't know. I never had problems with Canada geese are very Canadian. They're very, even though Canada geese are actually not Canadian anymore because they stay here mostly. They're really British geese, but yeah, they're just kind of quite chill actually, just like Canadians. So how are things, Sid, in Italy? This is, again, I've camped here. This is on One Tree Hill. I did a review of 2 mattresses here, but again, I didn't do the drawing at the same time. But this is a few years before that. A lot of the places I've camped are places that I draw, so I know them. I know how quiet they are or busy they are because I've sat there for an hour or two and camped there and drawn there. So it's actually a good way of wild camping. One good tactic is if you need an excuse to be somewhere, if you're wild camping, just sit down and draw. Then people will be curious, but they'll just assume you're just drawing, and then you can monitor to see how busy it is. That's the Ravens 8. That's the actual. There's a building on Ravens 8. It's quite an ugly building actually. But yeah, you can visit that. Not too fond of him. More geese. Pixel Purple says, please take this as a compliment. Your art style reminds me of Scott Christian Sava. I don't know Scott Christian Sava. Yeah, that's the pavilion. That's near Tolworth. No, not quite. Aha! You see, they're much more realistic. That's, I don't know. Is that daisies and wheat? I think there might be daisies. That was at Hanlands. I remember doing that. I'm surprised you get bitten by loads of ticks doing this sort of stuff. And that is near Lulworth, I think. At Durdledore, yeah. Man of War at Durdledore. So that's the Man of War, and I think it's with Durdledore's down here. It's around near sort of Durdledore, and that's when I was walking the Jurassic Coast. He's a YouTuber that does watercolor art. I don't. It sounds horrible, but I don't really pay attention to. I should probably do. YouTube artists. I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. I've just been working on my own for years, doing my own thing. And again, I'm probably my age. I've probably predate them a long time. That's Lulworth Cove. And I was getting quite dark when I did that. I seem to remember. That's why if it's black and white, quite often it's because it's nighttime or getting late, and I'm trying to do a quick thing. That I know what that is. That's brush pen. So I don't think it's the same. It's not the same scene. Again, Lulworth Cove. This one I really love. I love this one. There's a military, the Rangers on Lulworth Cove, and they always leave the red flag flying, even when no one's using them. And yeah, it's all a firing range, but it isn't actually used. Especially when I was there during the summer, it wouldn't have been used. And the steps go down, and then you kind of walk along, and then you walk on up to about here, I think. Well, no, maybe along here, and you kind of skirt along it, so it doesn't stop you going through. There's sometimes if they're actually got, sometimes they do close it, but it's mostly up, and it's not as bad as Kimmeridge. Kimmeridge, they completely close it, so you have to time your walking along that sort of part of the world, as long as you check to see if there is any manoeuvres. And again, that's at the fossil forest. I don't know if you can still do this, but you used to be able to walk down and see this sort of bed of fossils. And it's called the fossil forest. You can go sort of walk along this sort of bottom of the cliff and see all these different fossils. This I think is Lyra. I'm pretty sure it's Lyra. I think that's Lyra crown or soluble crown and watercolor. It might not be the water soluble one. It might just be the normal graphite one, but it's one of those. I met a very cute guy down there. Sadly, he was with his family, but he looked a lot like Rob Halford. He looked exactly like Rob Halford, and he was wearing, and I want one of these, a CERN Abbas Giant t-shirt, and it was like black with silver, and there was a local shop that does those, and I tried to get to the shop, and I didn't get there in time, and I got there too late, and I really want one. And yeah, he was almost like he was almost like he wasn't Rob Halford, but he was a spitting image of Rob Halford. He's also from that neck of the woods, but he wasn't not from Rob Halford. But yeah, I have a thing about Rob Halford. Oh, bye, Daft Hat. Oh, thanks for coming, Pixel Purple. I'm going to have to leave it, but I have subscribed. Thank you. And oh, sorry, my cold has gotten the best of me. Sorry about that, Daft Hat. Hope you feel better soon. Cloud Studies, big fan of Cloud Studies. I mean, this is the influence of John Constable. I really am a complete nerd for Constable's oil sketches. I'm not a fan of his kind of more, Hayway type stuff. More kind of like genre stuff. But his oil sketches are amazing, and just his oil sketches of clouds are amazing. So I regularly used to study clouds like this. There's a little bit of greenery there, and that's it. So now on to the drawing and painting. Sid says, "I love Constable." Yeah, I didn't used to, because it's like at school they always make out, oh, Constable, 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 and it's kind of, you don't really get it. And then I went to the V&A, and at the top of the V&A they used to have a room. I don't think it's still there, but I think they do have a collection of it somewhere in the V&A. And I was an art student, and I saw all of his, a lot of his, well, not all of his, but a lot of his oil sketches, and they're like impressionistic oil sketches, but impressionism, like, I don't know, 80 to 100 years before impressionists, and they were amazing. And I was like, oh, okay, because I had associated Constable with a Hay Wayne and the very sort of accurate, sort of very, but you see the old sketches and they are like impressionistic. They are. It's impressionism. He invented impressionism. Impressionism wasn't, but I suppose he didn't publicly exhibit them. So I suppose, but the sketches were impressionism. So I was just like, wow. Oh yes, remember that? We're not going to do any painting and that. So I have one of his coastal paintings full of clouds. Yeah, he was a master at clouds. Clouds are really difficult to paint. You have to paint fast. And what I assume he did is he probably did those studies and then used them in his actual paintings, because obviously you can't. Back then, it wasn't normal to sit on the side of a sort of a river and paint. Now it's quite normal, and near me is Millais did his Ophelia, and he actually did do that. He almost got he almost got hypothermia, and I know his subject got hypothermia, or almost hypothermia, because he did the woman in a bath in the studio, but actually over one winter. And I don't know why the hell he did it over a winter. He set up a shack by the river, by the hogs mill, and painted the riverbank for several months as the background. And that's crazy. And yeah, he literally went to this shack every day or so and painted for a few hours. And yeah, yeah. Millet was Millet was a insane. It's just an insane thing to do. Because yeah, it was so cold and unheated, So I think his um I think his models fared worse. But anyway, so these are Hake brushes, which are Japanese brushes. They're very good for your beard. So they're probably a little bit too big. I might just use the smaller one. And also I have sash brushes, which are literally meant for painting sashes. And these make a very nice line. I seem to remember. I'll probably use the smaller one, because I mean the big one is great, but for an A3 it's a bit massive. And so we've got these inks I mentioned at the start, which is the Bombay inks. I love these Dr. PH Martin Bombay American inks, but they're like light fast, waterproof, coloured Indian ink, and they're really nice. And so I'll probably try and use some of that. Trusty, yes, you can just use. And I have some other brushes as well, De Laroni. And I was using these before, might use some of those. But what we need to do is get some black, I think. This is Jackson's ink, which is an Indian ink. I might use some of this, which is the Sumi ink, which isn't waterproof, but is which one's the smallest? They're about the same size. So I was thinking of doing some Hake work, and then maybe using some colour. I've got the where are they? I have the various pH inks here. But I love the lines created by this. I might have to use a bit more, but not too much. Okay. And I also have the rinks in that one. Those are the quills and things like that. That's hadn't done it in years. Yeah. Yeah, I love the try not to do a swastika. What colour? I'm going to try the brown. Maybe with the not so great dropper. They come with little droppers in them, but they're not really that. They're not that. They're not that visual. Let's see what this is like. You see how quickly that's drying. This is the thing about the Jackson's ink. It dries really quickly. Maybe try washes. See, it has some opacity. The problem about this is that's shadowing. I don't know if we can. Yeah, not good. I'm shadowing it. Liking the granulation. But yeah, it does have a little bit of opacity, so it's that semi-opaque the way a bit like the paint sticks, which is useful because it's nice when you've got kind of a little bit of opacity in things. Yeah, this is granulating quite nicely. I like this. And do our usual. I do like working. I should have done the black actually. I feel like a red. It's all very autumnal, isn't it? There are two reds though. Yeah, there's that red. I don't think I've got any cherry red, or I'll have to have a little bit. was an orange. Okay, I think I've run out of petrol. That's a terracotta, and it's just, yeah, it's gone solid. It was horrible and gluey. So let's use a little bit of the red. Now for the red, I could use ink or even use, I've got some FW ink, acrylic ink, which is cool. What about using a different brush, maybe? Hi, Katrina McDonald. We're doing some abstract work. Hopefully you can sort of see that okay. Maybe, I don't know. Try and do it as flat as possible. What brush shall we use? Because it's all about the marks, really. I'm not talking about Marxism. Because we've got these, which is the synthetic squirrel brushes. They're quite cool. I might try the flat. It's always nice to do. It's quite, yeah. This is a very almost, I don't know. Not so fond of it. It's almost a magenta. I really want more orangey red, but I suppose I can mix them. We could always mix one. Aha! And we've got the golden yellow. You can even just drop of the golden yellow on. That's always good. That's always fun. See, one of the nice things is the opaqueness. It's a bit polka dot. And it's very random. I know it's random. Where is that brush gone? There it is. Ah, that's nicer. Yeah, because you mix these, obviously. Yeah, I'm mixing brown and blacks and powder with water. This is a little bit like a swastika. I'm not happy with that. Not intentional. Typical. Typical. I'm always a bit wary of red because the thing is you can get a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit like a Dexter episode. That has happened before. Not 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 killing people, but not as far as I know. More. It's a little bit strange. As I say, I did say I liked working with the end of paintbrushes. I love it when the paint, sort of the ink mixes on the page, and so you've got this sort of I'm pretty sure this is not at all like the YouTube watercolorist. Yeah, my work is varied. I do abstracts and I do I'm not happy about this, but it's always the way, isn't it? That's the thing about ink, is you have to work with the marks you originally made. Sometimes I lay white over that. No, that always works. In fact, I don't. Do I have the white around? I might actually have some of the FW white somewhere around. I do. Oh, Molotov white. One for all. Oh, I know what that is. That's graffiti white. Give it a go. Be acrylic based and also very opaque. And it's actually not gone solid for a while. Yeah, I used to do a lot of marker work. Molotov being a marker brand. I don't like some water. Not very aesthetic for the general public. No, not really. Not at all. But that's my work for you. You know, I don't always do what everyone expects, really. I can do very representational stuff. Alexa, kitchen on. Alexa, kitchen on. Yeah, everyone has got Alexa. We've got me on speaker. Yeah, my work is a mixture. It's kind of weird showing the landscape where I have to go. That's the point. My work is a mixture. I don't like sticking to one another. We can't hear you. Interesting. You should hear me now. Maybe it's because of the water. It's connected. The mic is connected. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I don't know. Yes. Let's see what this white is like. Oh, because it's very milky. White's bane of my life. I probably do have some of the FW white somewhere. Not while I was distant. You shouldn't be able to hear me over there. That's odd. You should have been able to hear me when I was in the kitchen. It's not very far away. This has a supposed distance of 400 meters, so and I've tested it in my latest video, so that's odd. Yeah, I'm not a fan of whites because they just don't. They're not very opaque. Not like milk. This looks like milk. Oh, I've actually got some of the FW magenta, but I can't find the FW white. That's weird. But yeah, you should be able to hear me. You should be able to hear me for several. And it could be because I'm actually, yeah. It could be because I'm blocked. Anyway, it could be. It could be. It doesn't like. I'm trying this new mic setup, but it probably doesn't like being blocked by the walls probably. Admittedly, it's not really invented for going through walls. It's let's see. Of course, this is FW ink. Actually, no, this is Molotov stuff. So it's the same stuff. Oh, great. Maybe not try that then. This is the FW ink. Ooh. I think I might try another one. We'll do another piece. It's kind of gone as far as it's going to go. It's a bit random. It's random. Now we have to put it somewhere flat. I don't actually leak everywhere. I haven't done this for years. So. Maybe use some smaller brushes this time, or maybe this brush. Not so much black. Actually, I know. Let's try the Sumi ink, which is more not what more like soot. It's basically based off soot. This stuff. It's soot and mortar. It has a very distinctive smell, almost like it's rotten. It smells like a woodland floor. Oh, not that one. Let's get a bit of water. Though it does smell like a woodland. It does smell like a woodland floor. There's a very specific smell. It's because it's basically soot. It's soot and water. But as a result, you have this lovely granulation. I don't know, I'm just making up as I go on. As always. A good title might be Third Right Goes Wrong. Yeah, no. I'm not exactly sure why it's doing it, why I'm doing these kind of. I do like working in black and red, but there is a problem with that, obviously. It can look a bit fascistic. For some reason, I'm liking very spiky shapes like that. But I love this. I love the granulation. The fact you can do this, and you get that sort of. Yeah. I'd forgotten how much I like super smooth ink for that. Sort of spreads into the areas. You just sort of lay over water and you can sort of see it spreading across. You see, you can do work with a normal paintbrush. You don't need special stuff. But yeah, something I like to do in a lot of my work is sort of scratch into things. I like this bit. I love that bit. I love it when it's sort of. But you can see why I destroy paper. I tend to use wet on. I like doing wet on wet and stuff like that. So I don't know what to do with this really. I don't add red now because it's just going to go. It's just going to go a bit. Yeah. Of course, you can't see it so well because, of course, yes, it's reflecting the light. Obviously, this was always fun when I used to have to photograph these. I used to always photograph them, and yeah, it was always fun to try and do that. Under blue, really. I actually wanted to work with some of the. Oh, some of the inks I used to work with. They might go a bit strange. What's that? Code black. Code blue. Blue. There we are, code blue. So let's avoid the red. I used to call it the zebra series after the joke. You know, what's black and white and red? A zebra in a traffic accident. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It's resisting it. Very interesting. I've never had that before. Then again, I've never tried mixing. This is a fountain pen ink by Koenor. I have a whole pot of this. Interesting. But it seems to be kind of resisting it. We don't want the actual blue. I must try not to get ink on my new trousers. Yeah, I missed that. Add some more into that so it spreads out even more. But I love kind of doing that thing where it spreads out. But at least with this, you can actually take it off. Oh, I've managed to get water on my. I managed to get ink on my new trousers. This is probably where you will be. I might use the other microphone seem to work in the kitchen, so I might use that. Yeah, to suddenly dilute that because I was like, no. Interesting. It's always a weird one when you add kind of like colour to something like this. You know, I'm not going to ruin it or whatever, you know. What I was going to do was use a tissue. I feel like this is a little bit. Aha! You can do that with Sumi ink. Hey. Maybe we can have some greens. Just a bit random. Oh, well, looking how that's leaking into here. Doing. That's the official term. Doing. Oh, you see, yeah, that's interesting. There's something in that ink that is resisting the Sumi ink. You see here, and what it did here. That's interesting. Yeah, I like that. I like the way it's sort of spreading like that. This is new. I also really like blue blacks, so this kind of works. This sort of deep blue black. I used to do a lot of work in blue blacks, like print around blue black inks. feel like I need to do something down here. Maybe with black. I'm liking this more than the other one. It's amazing what you can do just with yellow and blue and a bit of black ink. And watercolor paper. This is 300 GSM watercolor paper. You do need heavy to do the kind of stuff I'm doing here. You need something that's fairly heavy, otherwise it will. But it's a bit like my watercolor work. I love the randomness of some of the stuff, like the way the kind of like this is spreading out. That that is kind of dried to one point, and it's kind of the blue is kind of resisting some of the black. And here, but yeah, we've got spirals again, obviously. Yeah, I'm a big fan of spirals. And as I say, it probably makes no sense to no one else, but that's fine. I don't care. I did my work for myself. Yeah. And as I've said before, it's always an interesting one. Like you want to try and keep the white as well. You don't want to lose. It's quite easy to. A lot of these are about basically keeping the white and then working with that. So if you work it too much, then you end up with kind of a dark mess. I'm going to use this black just for this. That's the thing about the Sumi ink, is it's very light. Yeah, I'm kind of pissed off about I got blue ink on my new trousers. They're not new though, they're second hand, but they're new second hand. The ones mentioned in all my videos. The Columbia trousers. 3D-ness of this. It's like a spiral. And the spiral down here. It's all a bit random. That's fine. We like random. No one else might. I like random. Yeah, you can't see it so well because of the light. Maybe switch the light off. Interesting. It's now adjusted and it's still too dark. Yeah. Let's see above lighting. Well, anyway. Yeah. I'm happier with this one, I have to say. The previous one. And again, overdrawing would annoy my teachers, but screw them. I like that. I like how that fountain penning reacts quite oddly with the Indian ink. Different worlds, different types of ink, not supposed to be together, which is not a bad thing. You find there's weird combinations of things. And again, I don't think you're supposed to be drawing with a dropper, but who said you can't? No, we don't want to get that back into the bottle, do we? That's the drawback of it now, I suppose. Yep, I've got a bit of black in there, that's not good. It's probably going to take an age to dry. No, not necessarily. I mean, the .ph is quite quick drying. The code should be very as well. It's fountain pen ink. It dries quite quickly, and the pH Martin is quite quick as well. Sumi ink might take a while. Hi Molly. You've caught me doing a sort of a random abstract with ink. So obviously it's reflective ink because it's wet, so you can't see it so well. I don't know what you can do about that because I don't have a lighting setup. But yeah, we're using Sumi ink and fountain pen ink and some new Bombay ink, which I just got golden yellow Bombay ink, and creating a sort of a blue, black, and yellow abstract. It's all very random. I might leave this. I think it's starting to get too overworked. There's something nice about the way kind of the inks kind of just blend together. Or don't blend together, which is the interesting thing. Nice. Yeah, I've done better. Might try another one. So I'm running out of flat places to put drawing things. That's always the fun thing in this house. It is easier without John. No, not in some ways. But yeah, I would no way I'd be able to do this with John around. He'd be like, I'll be in bed now. He'll be playing at the light. So at least we can actually put stuff everywhere. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to be able to draw with these, but I do. Let's colour, 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 colour. What have we done with the? There they are. Orange. Purple. There's the violet. Oh, there's the green. Violet. And we are running out of. Oh. Let's use a sash brush. And yes, it is an actual sash brush. We also have a paintbrush and a Hake brush. A night, Sid. Molly says, "How have you been? I haven't heard from you for a while. I've seen much streaming." I haven't been streaming. I did the recce stream, and then I haven't actually done any other streaming. It's just been I've been busy doing the videos. Yeah, so I've been busy doing the videos, like the one I posted today. Which you got a name check in, because I mentioned that you'd introduced me into the DJI, which is what it's about. But yeah, so I've been busy doing that, but I didn't do any streaming because I meant to do more streaming. I've just been busy. Quite often I get to this time of night and I'm thinking I must stream, and then go, it's too late. Because if I stream really late, then no one watches, so it's kind of, it's always a problem. Oh, I need to change the water really. Yes, I remember the stream. I couldn't stay long because I was still working. Yeah, that's a weird one about doing day. I want to do more hiking streams, but they have to be daytime then, obviously. Because I do night hiking, and you haven't really seen anything. So it's a difficult one. It's like and same if I'm doing a location drawing or painting. I get more watchers when I'm late with my streams. I don't with this actually. I find that people, it gets really late, past about sort of 10, 11 or 12. Interestingly, I don't actually get that many people watching. Maybe it was the wrong time, but I've tried late streams. Because I could stream like 3 in the morning. I could, it wouldn't be a problem. Apparently, this might cut out now because, yeah, I'm using a new mobile receiver, but it doesn't like me going to the kitchen, so it might cut out. It might not be able to hear me. But it doesn't happen in the mic mini, so I might do the mic mini in the future. This is the new mic 3. So I don't know if we hear me. Probably not. Apparently, Sid's saying she can hear me. I get lots more global views and later streams. Yeah. Well, I thought I kind of expected that. Not so much. But yeah, I think I'll probably use the mic mini in future because that seems to work better with obstructions with the original receiver, whereas this is the mic 3, and it doesn't like it when it gets interrupted from line of sight. It's a trade-off with a mobile transmitter. I'm not really sure about this. I'm not sure about this. Me too. Should make it pop though. Oops. A bit random. Eesh. I saw you were. Oops. The few teens I watch always book me to stream earlier, but later is better for picking up new viewers and the adult chat. Yeah, that's what I would. That's what I thought. But I suppose the teenagers can't really watch because they're hiding from their parents. Yeah, that was eventful. I'm a big fan of spirals. I don't know why my work. I do a lot of spirals in my work. Aha! Oh, I like that. We're liking that. Oh, I like the. Yeah, this is a fountain pen ink which reacts quite weirdly to some of this stuff. So it depends what you mean by adult chat. Some adult chat I don't want to have. Depends on how adult. Probably, yeah. Apparently, my godson is being very teenage now. Sort of being very kind of incommunicative. I haven't seen him for a while. But yeah, it's making buying Christmas presents hard this year because usually his parents have some idea, but it's a bit kind of like random. So I love how these sort of colours spread. How the ink spreads like this. It's really cool. I'm not sure if I can risk another Hake brush. Don't know. This is a Hake brush, which is a Japanese brush. Ooh. It's a little bit random. Money in a card? What do you mean by that? Money in a card? Oh, you mean the shape? Yeah. This should be good for AMSR. As always, I love to scratch into things and draw. It's a thing of mine. But yeah. Something you learn is about the size of brushes. The size of the brush has to be proportionate to the work you're creating. Oops, don't want to get black in there. So you can't really use much big brushes on a small piece. You can, but it limits what mark you can make. I always have a tendency to use bigger brushes than I should do. I mean, money in a card as a Christmas gift. I could do, yeah. I always buy him, my godson, kind of quite specific presents. I try and I get my spies to tell me what he's into, and he's always surprised. I have spies everywhere, telling me about what he's into. But yeah, I mean, if he's getting to that sort of thing where he's got his own, but he'd probably just spend it all in Fortnite. And that's yeah, I don't really want to do that because he spends far too much time in Fortnite. The curse of the teens, Fortnite. He spends it all on sort of Fortnite skins. Any conversation is about Fortnite. He's obsessed. Get him a tent and a camping chair then. Yeah, maybe a little bit too young for that, but maybe at some point, yeah. I think he'd like the freedom from his parents, but they might not like that or approve. He doesn't seem to be that outdoorsy though. He seems to be more into being on screens, unfortunately. How old is he? I think he's either 12 or 13. I think he's 13 now, but it could be 12. But I know he's around that sort of age. I think he's just on the cusp of being a teen. Or so. I can't remember the last. I can't remember if he's 13 or was he 12. That's not his birthday early in the year. I'm a bad godparent. I should know that. I think he might be certainly older than 12. Old enough to go camping with his godfather, better than Fortnite. Also, yeah. I don't know if he'd like that. I don't know. Would be fed up with my uncle jokes. I do uncle jokes, which are worse than dad jokes, apparently. This is a bit random, right? I'm liking these sort of gradations. Yeah, he's he's a bit of a handful. black going there somehow. Yeah, well, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And I know you've been doing the driving. I saw that you were doing the. You've got the Gloucester video premiered as well. Not been to Gloucester. Spiral, spiral, spiral. Have a good night. Yeah, I hope so. Seems to be. I'm not sure I'm having a good artistic night. It's all a bit strange. That's always the fun thing with these, is you're not totally. I always struggle doing them because I can't really do this on cue, and so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You always want to. You always want to bring the. You always want to bring the goods and do something good. It's sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it's just like not happening, and that's part of it. That's part of working. It's part of our work. You won't always work it. It won't always work. And that is fine. Ooh. I'm liking it more like when the colour spreads, actually. Like that. Ooh. Destroy it. Destroy it. Let's destroy it. I've done that as well. Destroyed my work. Just kind of sort of wrecked it because it wasn't working. I do like. I'm not sure I'm going to destroy this one. I don't like how that's going. Probably why I like scratching into things. It's a bit like the more creative version of destroying it. But literally have destroyed pieces. I've actually intentionally destroyed them. It's always fun. Just gone. This is not working. Let's just destroy it in an artistic way. I really do like spirals. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just do. I do have a feeling that red takes over though. Actually, I quite like that now. I went from hating it to kind of going, it's not too bad. Need something else there. Maybe had some blue. I'm liking the blue. Has an energy to it. Not a fan of this. But I was thinking about this recently, about how it's important to hate your work. Which might sound a bit of a strange thing to say, but I was having a conversation on YouTube. This always goes a bit weird, and someone was saying how they were trying to be a agent, I think, for somebody, and this artist, she wouldn't give away her work. I mean, not to say give away as in, but she wouldn't show her work. She wouldn't sort of, give her work to the agent to sell. She was guarding her own work. and that is a bad thing for an artist because you have to really be um, not precious about your work. The more precious you are about your work, the more you won't actually improve because you're I mean, I would like destroying it. If you're too precious about it, if you're too precious about, oh well, I can't do this because I might ruin it. Well, you know, so there's that sort of preciousness, but also you have to kind of dislike your work because if you like your work too much or you hang on to your work too much, you don't progress. And ooh, we can go back to the brown, Van Dyke Brown. Remember that? You can use some of that maybe. They might go muddy. That's the danger of using a colour like brown. It might get mud, literal mud. We'll see. But you have to live with the fact that your work might go wrong. But also, you have to not be too precious about your work in future because the only way you get anywhere is by accepting that every piece of work you'll do is part of a process. And when you go to art school, there's a lot of discussion about process, and there's a reason for that because you're. It's gone a bit muddy there. Because it's important. Your process is important, and also that's what you're doing. You're doing a process. You're not just creating a pretty picture. It's about a whole sort of life work. It's about a sort of. So it's not about the one piece. It's about hundreds of pieces, thousands of pieces, so many pieces. That's the important thing, not the one work. So if someone, if it goes wrong, or someone wants to buy a piece, it's great. That piece is out your hair, and you can move on. And you should have moved on as soon as you created it. And this is what people don't really get about art. It's not about the piece. It's about the. It's not about the journey. It's the destination. To use a very cliche phrase. I'm fond of this. But yeah, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. So the important thing is the journey, and people focus on, like, oh, what was it, Klimt, the Klimt piece that just went for silly money. Um, you know, they focus on figures and sort of stuff like that. They focus on sort of not useful things like how much it got at auction or how much it's worth or how much it's sold for. Creatively, those aren't very helpful for an artist to be focusing on. I mean, you have to eat. But as it regards your work, it's not helpful to be thinking about those sort of things. Like, because it will stop you creating. He says, having just done loads of videos about gear on my channel. Yeah, that's different. That's YouTube. That's YouTube for you. You have to accept that you're playing that game, but when it comes to your process, you can't really play that game totally. You can, but you have to have an attitude to your work of saying, well, okay, it's finished, it's done. Um, that's it. I don't need to do any more with this, and it doesn't matter what happens to it. I can sell it or throw it out or whatever. It was a step in the process. It wasn't the end point. And that's what people confuse, because they think that it's about the end piece, and it's never about the end piece. It's about how you got there. It's about what you're trying to do, and whether it succeeded in that, but also it's just a one step in a whole sort of library of things. And people get very kind of caught up in the sort of, that might have been a mistake. People get very caught up in trying to be very, oh, is it success? Is that piece successful? Well, even if it wasn't successful, it's successful if you then went and decided, oh, well, actually, no, this isn't working, I'm going to do something else. You can't be precious about your work. You can't be precious. You can't, any piece of my work, there's only a few pieces that I would never sell. And they're to do with John. Very personal pieces. All of the pieces I've got, I'd happily throw away or sell or, get out of my life. Just because, you just don't necessarily need to. When you hold on to these things, it's like holding on to feelings or holding on to, stuff. Sometimes you just need to move on. And, well, that's better. Some green. That's going to make that muddy. But yeah, you can sort of focus on too much on sort of success. And it's usually it's part of a thing. It's not a usually it's part of a sequence. It's not actually an end point. And so this person was like, oh no, someone was criticizing this person who didn't want to give up their work, and someone was like, oh no, artists, how dare you? Like, no, that's not how you create good work. It's not how you work. How you create good work is how it works in your series of things. So if it doesn't work in the moment, that doesn't mean it doesn't work in the future, and also it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It might just not work for the time, or it might not work. It might just be something that is just not what you're supposed to do. So mistakes are fine. In fact, they should be welcomed. Yeah, red and green should not be seen. You're not too sure the green's actually adding anything. Oh well. I like the greeny, dark greeny blue there. But yeah. Again, when this dries, it'll probably look totally different anyway. But I was trying to kind of give it a little bit more definition. Wasn't totally a success. I'll try a bit less red. But it might change as it dries. It's a bit random. But as I say, you should celebrate the randomness. It doesn't always work. Destroy it or do something different. Because if you stay in the same little things, you'll never, ever, ever get anywhere. Yeah, I probably need to call it a day for the stream soon. But yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one with eyes. But yeah, it is a process, and it's not about the work. It's not about the individual pieces. It's about a collection of them and how they go over time. That's why people focus on a whole collection of a sort of an old master or something. They don't focus on one piece usually, because one piece could be a fluke. One piece could be just one thing. It's whether you can do it. It's whether you can repeat it and where you go with it, and where you go over time. Big fan of also using tissues and sort of and that sort of, again, destruction. Yeah, tissues are another creative medium for me. I like some of the marks in this. But yeah, people used to treat me weirdly because they thought, why did I hate my work? And it's like, I didn't understand why you would like your work. If you like your work, you won't go anywhere, because you have to accept that your work is going to suck. And even if it's the best thing you've done, it can't be the best thing you've ever done, because then you may as well then stop. So you have to accept that it's even if it is good, you can't treat it as if like it's really really good, because then you'll just stop. So anyway. So embrace the suck, as they say. Embrace the suck. You can see why this table is this colour. It's because I'm working like this. And like that. Hopefully it'll dry like that. Yeah, I'm liking some of the marks on this. As I say, it's a bit random. But it is what it is. It'll probably look better in a photograph. But as I say, I do like to destroy my work, or etch into it and take it and mess with it. sometimes too much. But yeah, no, the important thing is if you're an artist and you're creating is, as I say, you do it as a series. You're not just doing one piece, and you're developing it as you go along, and you learn things about yourself, and you do things, and they work or they don't work, but they're all part of the whole. They're all part of the process, and the idea of keeping on to your work, I find really bizarre. Or liking your work too much. It's like, no, don't do that. I mean, there's some stuff of mine I'm proud of, but at the time, you can't be proud of it. I think this is getting a bit overworked. I think I'll stop here. It's getting a bit muddy up here. I'm liking some of the marks in that. That's a little bit too green. Hopefully it'll dry a bit lighter. Yeah, I mean, things take time. Let's have a look. This is the other piece we did. The first piece was terrible. It's dried a lot lighter. Yeah, that's a bit sad. I liked it when it was wet with a deeper colour. But that's the thing about like code blue, is it will dry lighter. So yeah. I like this one the best. It's not the best, but it's all stuff I've done, but it's not bad. Nice colours. And some interesting marks. Anyway, I'm sure no one's watching, but thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching, and some ink painting. Yeah, this is a bit random. The sort of ink stuff. It can go one way or another. I usually find keeping it simple down to a few colours works, but it didn't really work so much in the piece I did earlier. But yeah, it's messy. It's fun though, but messy. You see, very messy. I am liking painting with inks. It's always fun to work with inks. And as I say, you've got the Dr. Bombay and you've got the FW Dialaroni, which is always a good one. I've done some quite large pieces with that, like A2, A1 on the ground in the garden and things like that. And again, it's just random how that works, whether it works or it doesn't work. It all gets a bit Jackson Pollock. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll speak to you soon, and hopefully I need more ink on myself.